Recently, I went to a restaurant, and you know how you get all nervous when you go for an interview? Well, I'm going to tell you some secrets on how to get a job. I have learned this through many years of experience on what to say and do. When you first approach someone, don't just say, "Are you hiring?" Tell them, "I am already currently employed. I'm looking for a second job." That's what I told them. I'm looking for a second job. So he saw this actually worked. I actually have the emblem of my business that I work for during from 12 to 4:30 Monday through Sunday. So I told him, I said, "Well, I'm looking for a second job." And he said, "Well, do you have experience? We normally don't hire that unless you have experience." So what he did was he gave me a menu. Now, here's another secret that a lot of people don't know. Back in the day, before there was any of this technology and there was a tape recorder, I was able to ace a spelling test all by just doing this. Listening to it overnight and hearing over and over and over again. I would tell the word and I would spell it out constantly over and over and over, non-stop. There's a Chipmunk Adventure storylines for the Chipmunks and Chipettes. They have an actually segment or a storyline where the guy would listen to the recorder, and at the end, it seems like it brainwashes, but what it does is it adds information into your brain while you're sleeping. So, what I learned is with this right here, I'm going to say everything to myself later on my own video, which I'm not posting here. And what you do is you tell everything that's on the menu, what it comes with, and so forth. You constantly listen to this menu. You will ace this menu, and by the time you work for these people, you will know what you're talking about if the customer asks, "What is this?" It doesn't seem to work, but it really does. Try it out and see if you can handle it. A good example would be if a customer was to ask you something like, here's another thing. Customers can trick you sometimes. Say something like, "Oh, what would you suggest?" Well, the guy I talked to said, here's what you say back. "What do you like to eat? What do your taste buds prefer?" That way, you're suggesting, but you're not suggesting. So the customer's like, "Oh, okay, well, what do you eat?" "Well, I've had everything on the menu. I have to say, most of the food I eat here is good. But if I were to choose my favorite, I could tell you my favorite, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that will be your favorite." And on the other note, another way to ace a job is nervousness. Do not, repeat, do not look very nervous. Make yourself look confident. You may be nervous on the inside, but make yourself very confident. Or they will be like, "Well, if this person's already nervous talking to me right now, imagine what this person's going to be like when they work for me." That is something you better ace before you get this job. Another one is too much info. They don't want to know your whole life story, okay? They just want to know where you worked, what time you worked there, and how long you've been working there. They do not care about Susan or Sam, what's going on in family life. They don't care about your stress or your problems. You're not there because they're going to see you as someone that's all you think about, then you're not going to do too well on the job. Another one is pressure. You're going to have pressure from many customers. You're going to have pressure from your boss. You're going to have pressure from the people you work for, the employers and the employees. You're going to have pressure. And they are going to give you dirty looks, and they are probably going to scream at you. But if you can't deal with that, don't get a job. Because this day and time, if you want a job that bad, you got to deal with it. If you don't deal with it, then it's more likely that you're not one person who can handle a job. Another thing, a pointer I could tell you about is, I'm going to say flirtation. Whatever you do, don't flirt with a customer, especially if a wife is standing there. I mean, hello? Common sense will say, she could say that you were a bad server because she doesn't like you anymore, because you were sitting there flirting with her husband. Be nice, be courteous. If he flirts, do not flirt back. You say, okay, sir, thank you. Anything else I can get you for the that's that you're eating? And then just walk away when he tells you what it is. Write it down, walk away, and just smile. That's all you have to do. Do not go into conversations about, oh, I love this, I love that, I love that. I mean, a lot of people don't know it, but they can lose their job that way. Because you're flirting, like I said, you're flirting with the customer. And especially if their wife is in there and you don't think about it at the time, she may give you bad ratings for your restaurant. And you don't want that. Trust me, you do not want that. Because if you were to ever get a job anywhere in that city, your reputation could be shot. Not that, what she said was true about you, but it could be shot. So that's another pointer. Another one is, don't ask way too many questions. Let the interviewer interview you. He asks you a question, you answer it. If he asks what your hobbies are, just say, whatever your hobbies are. Do not give them anything that has anything to do with anything bizarre or was considered unstable in a workforce, like saying something like, I like tattoos. Well, for one thing, if you're in a restaurant, you are definitely not going for tattoos, now are you? So try not to say anything that is going to make you pretty much look like an idiot. One last pointer before I go. Make sure the other job that you have, if you have another job, make sure you do your job well at that job too, because your reputation is on the line for the second job, especially if it's a Chinese. Okay, like for me, it was a Chinese restaurant. I work at Chinese Japanese, and then I work at another Japanese restaurant. Make sure your reputation stays the way it is. Good. You need to be on good grounds with your boss. It makes you look really good for your second boss. Yes, you may not like the things they say, and there might be some things that you don't agree with. But take it up with your boss, and don't go and blabber your mouth to the employees or the other people in the place or the franchise or in the facility of it, or even in the city, because it will get back to him. And you might not get fired, but you possibly get an earful of, hey, I thought I was doing well for you. If you have that much of a problem, then maybe you shouldn't work here anymore. Or, I mean, there's some bad things. I've seen someone getting fired over a temper. Whatever you do, I know it's hard. Believe me, there's times when I want to go off. But remember, you're not there to satisfy yourself. You're there to satisfy the customers, your employer, and the employees around you. You may not like their personality, but that's not their problem. That's your problem. And you need to face that. In the workforce field, you have to know these traits. If you don't know this training, it's more likely you're not going to keep your job. Another one. I'm sure you don't mind you having a smoke break, but don't take a lot of smoke breaks. Please don't. Employers do not like that. They'll look at it as you are addicted, a drug that you can't help but do all the time. They will not like that. It is on grounds of being fired. Do not get in arguments with your employees that you work with. It makes you look like you're not stable, and your boss will look at you as in a different way. You don't want that. You want the reputation of you working to be substantial. You don't want someone to come up to you and say, hey, there's that girl that works with you. Boy, she weird, or she got a temper. Another thing that a lot of customers frown on, and I've learned this in the past, try not to talk to yourself, even if it's just something you're thinking about. It makes you look like you can't handle your job. You don't want that going around that, hey, she talks to herself, she might be crazy. But I'm just giving you some pointers, and I hope these help you in your job search. Good luck, and happy job hunting!